Welcome to Star Watch Now, your front row seat to all the hottest gossip, drama, and breaking news from the world of entertainment. If it's trending, shocking, or star-studded, we're covering it. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next. It was meant to be a celebration, but instead, it became a moment that froze millions in stunned silence. One step, one decision, and a global audience left holding its breath. Why did Wang Yibo walk off that stage? And what does Xiao Zhan have to do with it? Tonight, we uncover a moment that wasn't just dramatic. It was history in motion. Welcome back to Star Watch Now, where stories meet soul. And today, we're taking you behind one of the most talked about moments in modern entertainment. The night was meant to be a celebration. A moment of glamour, unity, and recognition for the brightest stars in entertainment. The Global Star Awards 2025 had promised nothing less than perfection. The world watched with eager eyes as lights danced across the stage, the air electric with anticipation. And then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. Wang Yibo, the evening's most anticipated presenter, stepped into the spotlight. Calm, poised, and elegant as always, he drew instant applause from the crowd. Cameras captured every move, every breath, every flicker of expression on his familiar face. But something felt different. Something unspoken lingered behind his composed presence. He held the award envelope. The script lay in his hand. The audience leaned forward, expecting his iconic voice to ring through the hall. And it did briefly. He read only the opening lines, his voice steady but oddly distant. Then, in an instant that stunned millions, he stopped. He paused. A silence fell so sharp it cut through the applause. And without a single word, he turned and walked off stage. No explanation, no smile, no farewell. Just a decision, swift, silent, deliberate. The live broadcast scrambled to recover, cutting abruptly to commercials. But the damage was already done. In that single moment, a simple walk became a powerful question mark. What had happened? Why had one of the industry's most disciplined, respected figures stepped away from the very heart of the spotlight? The audience was left breathless, not with excitement, but with an eerie, collective sense that they had just witnessed something deeply human and entirely unforgettable. In the minutes following Wang Yibo's silent departure, the stage lights may have dimmed, but the world behind the screens lit up in confusion, disbelief, and rising urgency. Social media platforms pulsed with questions, theories, and unease. It wasn't just about an artist walking off stage. It was about the feeling that something sacred had been broken, a moment that didn't fit into the polished choreography of an awards night. The silence left behind wasn't empty. It was thick with meaning. And then, quietly at first, a whisper began to take form. Whispers like these often begin in the corners. Backstage murmurs, off-the-record texts, careful words from people too close to the truth. A crew member, unnamed but deeply credible, offered a statement that was as brief as it was devastating. Xiao Zhan, scheduled for a solo performance that night, had been cut. Not postponed, not replaced, simply removed. No announcement was made to the public. No reason offered. His name was erased as if it had never existed on the program at all. The story grew rapidly from rumor to reckoning. Another anonymous insider revealed that upon hearing the news of Xiao Zhan's removal, Wang Yibo made a single, unshakable decision. He looked around, took a breath, and said softly, "Then I won't do it either." There was no rage, no drama, no performance of protest. Just a line drawn in the sand, spoken with quiet defiance. And then he walked. That single choice became a tidal wave. Hashtags flooded in from around the globe, not out of curiosity, but from a place of raw emotional solidarity. Hashtag justice for Xiao Zhan. Hashtag stand with Yibo. Hashtag protect artists. Fans who had long followed both artists felt something deeper than fandom stir inside them. The feeling that they had just witnessed not a scandal, but a message. One that could not be ignored, denied, or downplayed. Wang Yibo's refusal wasn't for applause. It wasn't staged for headlines. It was heartbreakingly real and profoundly brave. As more voices added to the growing storm, something remarkable happened. This wasn't outrage for the sake of spectacle. It was personal. It was emotional. People were no longer simply fans, they became advocates. They shared their own experiences with injustice, their own moments of being silenced, overlooked, or erased. Wang Yibo's walk resonated far beyond entertainment. It became a mirror held up to the systems that demand silence in exchange for success. Suddenly, this wasn't just about one man refusing to present an award. It was about what happens when the human behind the fame chooses integrity over visibility. And when he does so, not with anger, but with a quiet kind of courage. In that moment, the entertainment world was no longer center stage. The story had shifted. The real drama was unfolding behind the scenes, and the audience had never been more alert. As the world tried to make sense of what had unfolded that night, a new question began to rise. Not just why, but for whom? Beneath the headlines and hashtags, beyond the flash of cameras and public outrage, there was something far more intimate at the center of it all, a bond. One that had long been speculated about, quietly admired, but never fully understood. A bond between two men who once stood side by side in the spotlight, and now seemed to be bound together in something far more powerful than performance, something unspoken. Since their time in the Untamed, Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo became more than just co-stars. They became a symbol of deep creative chemistry, of quiet trust, of something rare in a world that often rewards competition over connection. Fans noticed it in the way they looked at each other during interviews, in the way they protected one another from awkward questions, and in the strange way that even when they were apart, their names always seemed to surface together. But in recent years, something had changed. Appearances grew sparse. Projects that once seemed inevitable were quietly shelved. When they did appear at the same event, there was always distance. Physical, emotional, and perhaps political. Now, that silence was beginning to make sense. What if the bond never faded, but was forced to bend under pressures invisible to the public eye? What if, behind the silence, there was a deep loyalty that refused to die, even when circumstances tried to suffocate it? Wang Yibo's walk wasn't loud, but the meaning behind it roared. It was not the act of a disgruntled celebrity, but the choice of a man unwilling to accept the quiet erasure of someone he once stood beside on screen, and perhaps never stopped standing beside off it. For those watching closely, the industry's hand was all too visible. The polished choreography of public appearances, the convenient cancellations, the strategic silence from studios. These were not accidents. They were decisions, calculated and cold. And Wang Yibo's choice to break the script was not just emotional. It was revolutionary. It was a refusal to let fear dictate who is seen, who is celebrated, and who is quietly pushed out of the frame. In this light, their bond was no longer just nostalgic, it was political. It was resistance. It was a reminder that even in the most manufactured industries, there are still individuals willing to risk their place for the sake of something real. The silence between them may have remained unbroken in words, but it was louder in action than anything either had ever said. And for millions who watched from afar, this silent act of solidarity became more moving, more honest, and more unforgettable than any speech ever could be. What makes this story powerful isn't anger. It's principle. In an industry often ruled by image and influence, Wang Yibo chose integrity over spotlight. He didn't shout. He didn't accuse. He simply stepped away. And sometimes, silence becomes the loudest act of all. Online communities from Seoul to Paris, Bangkok to Toronto lit up with support. Hashtag justice for Xiao Zhan. Hashtag stand by Yibo. Hashtag protect artists' rights. Fans began sharing stories, art, and reflections on what it means to stand for something, even when no one is watching. This isn't just about celebrity drama. This is about choice, about friendship, about challenging silence when it becomes a cage. Wang Yibo's walk wasn't just a protest. It was a message to an industry, to a world. You can take away the microphone, but not my voice. And maybe, just maybe, it's the beginning of a shift. One where artists are seen not as products, but as people. What happened that night may never be fully explained. But what remains is the feeling, the stillness, that moment of quiet courage. So we ask you, do you believe Wang Yibo did the right thing? Was this loyalty, rebellion, or something deeper? Is it time we rethink how we treat artists behind the curtain? If the story moved you, made you think, or made you feel, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment below, share your thoughts, and let your voice join the conversation. And if you believe that stories like this deserve to be told with honesty and heart, pushpin subscribe to Star Watch now. Bell turn on notifications. Stay with us because the story isn't over, and we'll be right here to tell it when it continues.